Good evening. This is Darren Smith. Steve wants to be with us in just literally a hot second. I want to welcome you to the pregame cheat sheet. And we are here live at Arrowhead Stadium where the Kansas City Chiefs will be taking on the Denver Broncos. Thursday night football taking place here at Arrowhead Stadium. Now, there's a lot to get into as it relates to tonight's show. I can tell you this first and foremost that when you look at tonight's game, this is a game that Kansas City should win. But all those should wins obviously ends up being a lot closer than what than what the scoreboard seems to appear. And look, I've got to say, big shout out to my guy Steve Walls. He got a chance to host a daytime show today. Steve, look, first of all, can I get your autograph? I mean, can the people get your autograph right quick?
Of course.
So before we get into tonight's game, tell us about what you did this morning at 11 o'clock here locally.
Had the opportunity to host Great Day KC on Fox 4. It was a great time. We had a few guests come on. We had some pizza. We got to talk about kittens, of course, Chiefs. It was
what you know about kittens, man?
Not enough. Of course, not enough. But yeah, it was an awesome time, man.
Cool. Well, congratulations to you on that. Tonight's game, kickoff at 7:15 on Amazon Prime. Of course, locally you get a chance to watch the game on Channel 41 here in Kansas City. But Steve, and of course, whatever the local channel is in Denver, Colorado. But Steve, when you look at this matchup, Broncos come in 1-4. Mm-hmm. Russell Wilson, of course, he's having a good statistical season thus far, actually better than Patrick Mahomes. But the team overall 1-4. Sean Payton, this was not probably what he was expecting after 5 weeks into the season. I know he didn't think he was going to lose last week to the New York Jets. But looking at this Broncos team, looks like they're going to be trying to do a fire sale. They already traded Randy Gregory to the San Francisco 49ers. Mm-hmm. They're looking to cut bait with Frank Clark probably by the end of this week, if not next week. What do you see this Broncos team coming into Arrowhead knowing they're a 10.5 point underdog in tonight's game?
It's funny because, you have a quarterback like Russell Wilson, and you expect, to be automatic contenders. We saw last year. Yeah, we saw last year, all the hype was, they're loading up, because, of course, you got to face Patrick Mahomes twice, right? And there has been, in Andy Reid's tenure, they have dominated the Denver Broncos. And so when you think about just parlaying that or fast forward to this year, it's like, all right, they're going to be all right. It was 1 year under his belt. Then you go and get a new head coach. So now a new scheme. But, of course, if anybody can figure it out, it's Russell Wilson. But then there's all the outside noise. He has an office there. He's not clicking with, the rest of the teammates. And then you have other people who were former teammates that come on shows and just, kind of bash him a little bit or tell the truth.
Bash him a lot.
Yeah. So, you have all that outside stuff. So, of course, I think it's going to filter over into the season. And the 1-4 record, look, even talking to Justin Reed earlier this week, he talked about, Russ is still cooking. This is a game where this is a game where a primetime game where Russ is going to come out and try to, make something happen. Of course, he's not going anywhere. So I think he and Sean Payton just have to get on the same page. The fumble at the end of the game last week cost them the victory, I think.
Yeah.
And so you look at this Denver Broncos team defensively; they haven't played really well. And that's what I was going to ask you. What do you see from this defense?
Well, Vance Joseph, I believe he was with Arizona last year. Mm-hmm. They had the 31st ranked defense,
which is crazy because they had likes of Isaiah Simmons,
J.J. Watt,
Buda Baker, right? So all those. Yeah, so you had all those guys and not been able to put together at least a middle of the road defense is crazy to me.
Yeah, but again, you bring him in, but again, you bring in a guy whose defense was ranked 31st. So I'm not exactly sure how you thought. They went from 14th last year all the way down to the worst in the league. And as I said on my show Monday, statistically, this is the worst defense trending to be the worst defense in the history of the NFL. And that's saying something because I think the Dallas Cowboys last year, the year before, was trending in that direction as well before Dan Quinn came on board. And so they're giving up 450 yards a game. Mm-hmm. They're giving up 36 points a game. However, the Chiefs, I think, have only scored more than 30 points once, and that was against the Chicago Bears 42-10. Again, as I've mentioned to start the show off, even though they're 10.5 point favorites, Kansas City has has a tendency to play down to their competition,
right.
And which is crazy, sad, frustrating, infuriating. All that, any attitude that you want to think of, that's pretty much what you can apply when it comes to the Chiefs and this offense and team overall. Because I was literally just telling somebody, the person who kind of placed my bets when I'm on the Missouri side. Hey,
got a book.
I do. Shout out to Dre. But that being the case, when you look at the Chiefs, again, you don't know what you're going to get because against the Chicago Bears, they actually did what they were supposed to do. Not only did they cover, but they blew the team out. Yeah. Now, they covered against the Vikings, but it was kind of nip and tuck, and you didn't know what it was going to be till the very end. But the Jets, they were 7.5, 9.5 point favorite, and they were trending that direction because they were up 17-0 and then only scored 2 other field goals the remaining of the game and ended up winning the game by 3. So, Vegas loves them. Now, they could have won by 10, but, Mahomes had other ideas. And thankfully, I go money line. But, but when you look at how they play, it is kind of infuriating because you want a team that is a defending Super Bowl champion and is currently number 1 in the AFC as it relates to seeding. Right. If the playoffs were to start today, you want them to impose their will on teams, and especially inferior teams that you are supposed to beat. And the fact that you kind of go down to the wire, it for me raises a red flag because you put yourself in situations that you don't have to be in, and then if you don't get out of it, you can find yourself in a situation against a good team, especially in the playoffs, and you might not find yourself getting out of it.
I agree. Sometimes I feel like, and we talked about the number of shows we do, man. We talked about just them, maybe rushing or pressing a little bit, which sometimes I think over Patrick Mahomes with 5 years playing, starting quarterback, I feel like he's been used to that, and they've kind of gotten away with it a little bit. I mean, and that's with subpar defenses.
Yeah, this is the first time they actually have a real good. Yeah. They fell out of the top 10 after this past week, but he's still has the top defense that he hasn't had in his career here.
Right. So I think when we're used to 15 being able to just, go fling it, or whatever wide receiver he's going to target that week, they get off. This time it's kind of like you're scratching your head, like other than Justin Watson, who's going to be the guy? And right now they're searching because if you look at last week, who got more targets? Rashee Rice and Justin Ross. Yeah. 2 guys that, Rashee has been sprinkled in a little bit, but Justin Ross, not really.
Yeah, he hasn't been getting any play.
I feel like they're searching for, an answer within the organization. Now, it wouldn't be surprising to me if they try to bring in somebody this week. You look at what happened last week, Chase Claypool, I thought could have been possibly a viable option.
He's a 6'3", speedy receiver. And look, people saying he's a malcontent, but I tell people all the time, if you're in Pittsburgh, if you're in Chicago, and you don't have a quarterback or the organization, the team is not really utilized, of course you're going to be frustrated. Why would you want to stay there?
Why would I want to go to a job where I just don't like going to every day?
And you know what I'm saying? If you get a chance to come play with Patrick Mahomes, do you not think that now, I do see when people say, what about MVS? That's a connection issue. MVS loves playing here. Yeah. He's got he got Super Bowl rings, so he loves playing it. But for whatever reason, things aren't clicking now. I've gone in and week out, and I know we've asked these players, and especially Mahomes once again, and I know he was asked at the presser on Tuesday, more so about the connection with these wide receivers. Are you seeing anything that will lead you to believe that things are starting to click and go in the right place with these receivers?
I think just looking at it from a bird's eye view, right? Like 30,000 feet up, I'm looking down and I'm looking at, you got MVS, you got Justin Watson, Justin Ross, Rashee Rice. You have to throw in Kelsey in there because even though he's a tight end, he's still, to me, wide receiver 1. To me. And so when you think about it, and I didn't mention MVS, but in Kadarius Toney, but you think about it, man, to me, maybe these guys aren't how you get a guy, you got a coworker and they have to kind of be told what to do.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just, you got to tell them the route. And I think they're having an issue with when it breaks down and when Mahomes gets outside, they don't know the scramble drill part of it. That's the thing that you think about DeMarcus Robinson. You think about Tyreek Hill, all those guys that he's had, even Juju, all those guys that they've had before have been able to kind of make it up as they go along. And I don't feel like the Sky Moores of the world aren't been able to do that because they're thinking about what they're supposed to do.
Let me flip and ask you that, though. When we see them in practice, do you not, I mean, with all the daily practices, training camp that they have to where they can do all the improvisations, I mean, do you feel like it's not training? Because
I don't think
what he does in practice, he's still doing the same stuff in practice where he kind of.
But the defense kind of is, it's kind of that, we're letting the offense go a little bit. It's not going to be, they're not, firing live shots at you because, of course, they're your team. You don't want to go out there and try to tackle them. So if you're not going to be tackled, I can run here, catch the ball, and keep going about my business and not have to worry about anything. Out here, it's like if I'm doing a scramble drill, all right, what am I going to do? Oh, was that the right route that I'm running? I think they're all thinking too much, and they need to be able to play free. And once they're able to do that, of course, you get Justin Ross and also Rashee Rice, and they're rookies. Rashee Rice is a true rookie, true freshman, whatever. Justin Ross is redshirt, right? So they're still trying to figure it out. Am I lining up on the right side? Okay, well, what's this audible? Which route am I supposed to run? So while you're doing all that, you're not able to improv like Travis Kelce does. Oh, what game was that? Where Mahomes was like, he was supposed to run the fade, but ended up turning inside. I knew he was going to do it, and he did it, and I threw him the ball. So I think that was
Chicago.
It was Chicago before Minnesota. Was that the game? So it was Chicago. Yeah. So they're not able to do that.
Jets, but the Jets was the game before Chicago.
The Jets, yes. But, yeah. So if I'm Rashee Rice or one of those younger guys, Sky Moore, of course I'm not going to go out there and just do my own thing because if the route breaks down, it's like, why didn't on film Monday morning or Tuesday, whatever day you're watching film, it's like, you didn't run the right route. Well, I thought that this was about. No, you're not able to get that. You're not able going to get that the rookie mistakes that you got last year.
Right. Steve Walls, Darren Smith, we're live here at Arrowhead Stadium. Chiefs kicking off in just a little under an hour, hosting the Denver Broncos. Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime, of course, also locally here on KSHB Channel 41. Steve, the Chiefs are 4-1. They win tonight's game. They'll go to 5-1. They'll still lead the AFC conference as the number one seed. They'll get all of Sunday off to watch all the football games, and we will as well. But coming into this game, well, let me make the announcement. Taylor Swift is supposed to be in the building tonight. As much as may or may not care, she will be here. Travis Kelce is active in tonight's game. He will be playing. Well, there were some thoughts after the low ankle sprain. We kind of knew he finished the game. He got a touchdown. If she's in the building, he's playing.
Of course.
But also Tommy Thompson is also playing. He's ready to go along with Nick Bolton in tonight.
Yeah, you think about just Travis Kelce and what he does for this offense. You're not if he doesn't play, who you got? You think about
that week one.
Yeah, you think about the game in Minnesota last week. He goes down, and it's like you had some guys that stepped up, which was amazing to me that they did it. So it was cool that they were able to have that lead. Had they not had the lead and then had to battle from behind, I think it would have been a lot tougher.
Yeah, and he brings so much to the offense, and it was a difficult sight initially when he went down because it was a non-contact, and generally when something like that happens, it's generally the Achilles or an ACL.
I thought it was, and that's how I'm pointing to the bottom of his side of his foot, and like, he's good.
Yeah, and then when he got to the sideline, run up and down, it's like, okay, it's not that. So,
of course.
But he got injured prior to the season starting, another injury, so starting to add up, hopefully. And he probably won't be 100% until after the season, but hopefully, during this time and after the Frankfurt game, Germany game, he'll get a chance to rest up and try to get his back to close to 100% as possible.
If you're Travis Kelce, you're going up against the Denver Broncos today. Yeah. 1-4 record. We talked about that, and you're going to have 10 days, just a little over 10 days, to where you're able to rest up. Are you going 100 miles an hour today?
I don't know. If Taylor Swift's in town, I'm not sure she's leaving right away. So I'm not sure how much rest he's going to be getting.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I'm just saying.
But I mean, are you going 100 miles an hour today? Because we talked about it. Should he play?
Well, as a competitor, we know we know he's going to play.
Yeah.
I think it goes 100 miles an hour because look, if anything, if the Chiefs are smart, you want to build a nice lead to where you can pull them. But again, that's the thing. Now the Chiefs did that against the Chicago Bears when they got up. Again, that was the only game because the rest of the games have all been one-score games. So if they can do that with a team that gives up 36 points, a team that gives up 40 to 50 yards, they should be able to. I'm not saying put the game away at halftime, but at least in the third quarter, put the game away as such where he can, you can pull him out and rest him after he gets the necessary stats, of course. I just need my man to get 40 yards in the touchdown. I don't care.
That's funny. That's funny.
But looking at the rest of the offense, Isaiah Pacheco, he's done a great job leading the ground game for Kansas City. I know a lot of fans have been frustrated seeing Clyde Edwards-Helaire, especially in Minnesota, get a couple of carries and not really push the line forward.
Right.
Your thoughts on the Chiefs running game, and of course Jake McKinnon as well.
It's night and day from week 1 to now.
Yeah.
Like you think about, we talked about Mahomes was their leading rusher.
Oh God, yeah.
And now it's just like how the tides have turned. I think a lot of that is
bugging this.
No,
let me cuss.
No, you got to remember these defenses were playing them in a zone. So of course, if they're expecting you to throw the ball, they're going to sit back. Okay, we're going to let you run, but they're trying to throw the ball and just go away from the run. Now teams have to respect it. I mean, they got to see what Isaiah Pacheco did when he was at home in New York. They got to see what he did in Minnesota last week.
Yeah.
Jerick McKinnon and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, all three of them scoring touchdown against the Bears. I mean, all that's on film, so now you got to account for that. And, of course, Isaiah Pacheco runs hard. You don't want to tackle that each and every down. Like, it's going to be a long game.
It was interesting. It's not like he's a big back.
Right.
He's not. I mean, he's not a Jerome Bettis. He's not even a Nick Chubb. But he's just somebody who runs, and he runs hard. You can say, I like to say he runs angry. But he's someone when he puts his head down. Yeah. He runs to the hole. He runs through the hole.
Yeah.
And even when it takes 4 guys to tackle him, which says a lot about him.
Yeah.
And and the way and the style that he plays. Also, now one of the things that I do want to say coming into tonight's game that the team can actually build upon from last week's game in Minnesota was out of the 10 penalties that they had, none of them came on the offensive line.
That was interesting. I know you talked to. Juwan pretty much every day, every game. Yeah. What did he say last week?
Oh, he said he literally did work on trying to make sure that he wasn't lined up illegally, but B also making sure that he didn't jump. I don't want to say jump before the snap, but just working on his timing because he has been known to. I mean, literally, his timing seems to be impeccable to where people think he's jumping early or whatever. So he said he's been trying to time that more closely to the snap and stuff. So so you don't have to put it back in. It worked in last week's game.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll carry over.
And if I'm Patrick Mahomes and he's having those issues, game 1, game 2 carries over to game 3. When I'm in the huddle, I'm looking at directly him. On 3, a hike on 3. Everybody else gets it, but you on 3. So
it's not 2.5.
I'm looking at him in his eyes like on 3.
Yeah.
So just to make sure he's got it, but I think he's gotten a lot better with that, and the refs have. I think Andy's let him have it a little bit. It's like, hey man, we look around the league and it's not the same.
And again, I do believe that they. Now, we'll see how much they call it. And I'm going to look at Juwan a lot tonight, at least on that right side, to see not only if he jumps early, but if the officials call it. Because we did notice that, like the last couple of weeks, they hadn't really been calling it. Yeah. And, of course, people will post a lot of stuff online where this guy's lining up illegally. Nobody's calling that. So let's see if they're consistent. And, now it's also different. Well, I don't say it's different because – the refs are only focused on the game, but if it's a national game, it does make you wonder because all the officials who are watching the games at home will be like, "Well, I will flag down about," versus them just being in their own games where they don't have to worry about looking at it. So,
and it doesn't get like so when it's put out there on social media, like, oh, well, that was offsides, or he keeps jumping off, or he keeps he's moving too fast, right? Or he just holding or something like that, it gets more magnified because no one else is watching any other sport.
But here's to me, now it's just my opinion. I always thought that for him to be able to do that, that's pretty. Because one, even if he's not a believer, he's not really looking at the ball. He's because of his angle of where he's at, and of course he's trying to get he's lining up furthest enough to where he feels like he's not going to get called for being illegal, but also, worried about the defensive end on that side. And the fact that he's worried about that and really not looking at the ball can still kind of time and snap to where he's, to the snap of the ball where he's not getting called for, for false or anything like that. So that says a lot about him.
It does. It does. And the system changed too. Because, we heard from some people down in Tampa Bay, like, oh, well, he did that last year. Jacksonville. Yeah, with Jacksonville, I knew it was a Florida team. But he did that a lot last year. He just didn't get called for it. Or if he did get called for it, now it's going to be magnified because we're playing in Jacksonville where he used to. That we know. Yeah.
Now, I do want to ask you this. We look at on the other side of the offensive line, Donovan Smith. Again, a lot of people. This is crazy about social media. I do follow it. I do get on there, do troll from time to time. But people have talked about how bad Donovan Smith. But I'm sitting thinking, like, wait a second now. He doesn't get called for a lot of flags. A lot of flags that have been on Jawan, but he's played fairly well. And the fact that Mahomes really hasn't been sacked a lot this season, I think it's been. I think he may have been sacked 4 times this far this season. Yeah. That says a lot compared to to the number of sacks he's had or he's taken over the last.
He's doing a lot better than Orlando Brown. Like I said, I'm talking about Orlando Brown last year. Like here, I think he's doing because if you're offensive lineman, as long as your name doesn't get called. I'm good with that.
Again, and that's my point. Like his name isn't being called over the telecast. It's like, how is he not doing a good job? Now, I don't understand or know the PFF rankings and stuff like that. But for me, if his name is not being called, he's doing a hell of a job.
To me, I agree.
Looking at the defensive side of football for Kansas City, Chris Jones has had a sack in every game since his return in week 2. Again, George Karlaftis. The Chiefs will be without Charles Ohamdu until after tonight. After tonight's game, he'll be active.
Saw him in the locker room this week.
Yeah, so he'll. I know he's ready to go. Starting next week against the Los Angeles Chargers. What are you seeing from this defense coming into tonight's game?
They've been balling, man. They've been, to me, carrying this team. We talked about at the end of the show, man. They've been carrying this team, and then you get these young corners. I feel like they just don't know any better than to play hard, right? You get all these young guys. All they know is championship. Like they don't know They don't know any downside to this team, right? So all they know is just go out there, play hard. We're gonna win. Yeah. So I think that's a positive.
Yeah. Well, and when I look at it again, we talked a lot last week when we were in Minnesota. The PFF rankings for Trent McDuffie, I think he might still be number 1 overall. But I tell people the guy.
I think he's number 2.
Okay, well the guy to look out for is L'Jarius Sneed. He's the one that takes on the number 1 receiver. Now, I don't know if that's going to be Jerry Jeudy or Cullen Sutherland in tonight's game.
It's funny you say that. I was looking at some film on Trent McDuffie this week. Just trying to see why he's up high. He's caused a turnover in almost every game this season, as far as whether it's been punching the ball out. So, I mean, those takeaways, I think, add up. Whereas you get L'Jarius Sneed, who's guarding the best receiver, but Trent is actually out there, causing the turnovers for the offense to get the ball back.
Well, I'm just wondering because he did shut down Justin Jefferson last week for three catches, 28 yards.
He's very physical with it. And I didn't get a chance to ask Bags that this week, but was that a point of emphasis during practice of them just going out there, being physical, and letting the chips fall where they may?
Well, here's the thing. Talking to the players, even leading into the season, that's one of the identities that they want to have was to be physical. Yeah. I mean, and look, if you think about it, we remember doing training camp, Justin Reed talking about how he put on 10 pounds of muscle.
He did.
Like, when we know when they brought him in, he was one of those heat-seeking missile type safety.
Still is.
Yeah, that's my point. So you get him, you see Brian Cook. Brian Cook is a physical safety as well. So when you look at Trent, that's what they are. That's the mentality. I kind of like that. And if you think about it, the other teams that are like that are top teams, are San Francisco and Philadelphia. Those are physical type teams. And if you're a physical team that you can play physical both offense and defense, that's the way to go.
Yeah, I agree, man. this defensive team. It's as we see Neil Smith and Miss Betty Brown for the Third and Long Foundation. So the Pro Football Hall of Fame, they've
the ring.
They've changed the rule where for Hall of Fame inductees that never got a ring or that's passed away, now they're able to get a ring. So Derek Thomas is getting his ring today, and Miss Betty Brown and Neil Smith with the Third and Long Foundation are accepting the ring, which I feel like is pretty cool.
Oh, it's a great honor. And I don't know if it's not this game, but the next game, our good friend Dante Hall is going to be inducted to the Chiefs Ring of Honor as well. So hopefully we get him on the red hour.
Of course.
We'll see what we can do about that. But Steve, look, again, back to the defense side. You've got Nick Bolton. Now, Drew Tranquill has balled out in the 3 games that he got a chance to start.
Yep.
Nick Bolton coming back, what's that do for this defense?
You know what? I feel like they could have let Nick sit out another week. To me, I mean, because Drew Tranquill's been playing very well. Willie Gay. Now, I think Willie Gay may have been banged up a little bit this week, but I feel like the defense has been playing good without Nick. You know, Nick is, of course, they played. You got Chicago where he didn't play. Then you got the New York. And then last week, those 2 quarterbacks weren't very mobile. And I think that's where Nick's strength is.
It is crazy you say that. So, Nick, we wanted to sit out challenge. We got to get him back in the game. Yeah. So, but look, man, if he's ready to go, if he's ready to play, I say.
But Nick is the heart and soul of that defense. What do you think?
Oh, no, I think him coming back, I think, can only enhance the defense. Again, if for some reason he goes down or even if he's on the pitch count, you know what you can get with Drew Tranquill. So that, I mean, and the depth that it brings. Look, and elephant in the room, let me ask you this because I think I talked about it right before you came on board. But Frank Clark is due to be cut, released, traded by.
Is he active for that?
No, he's out with illness.
Oh, okay.
We probably the stomach, bubble guts. My man is around that time. But should the Chiefs look at bringing him back?
That's a good question. I saw that floating around on social media earlier this week. I think Frank wants to come back. I feel like
Chris wants him back.
Yeah, Frank wants to come back. Chris wants him back. I mean,
Frank never really want to leave, but it's contract.
I feel like if you can afford him, but who do you pull off of your active or your 53? I mean, because right now
you can find somebody to pull off 53.
Right now, I just feel like Frank's not going to play special teams. So, I mean, then you have that problem. It's like if you're pulling somebody off 53, are you putting someone on there? Who are you going to move in? Because obviously, whoever that you're putting on, moving up to 53, plays special teams.
You can pull off a wide receiver.
I mean, I don't know about that. To put Frank Clark in?
No, I don't know. I'm saying push come to shove because look, all these wide receivers ain't really been balling.
Yeah.
So, but if you had to, I mean, you could, man.
I don't see anybody off the offense that you pull off. I mean, you look at the Chiefs' defense. I mean, Shamari Connor, maybe Nick Jones. Maybe you pull Nick Jones off.
You pull somebody who's third string off, B.J. Thompson or the rookie Keandre. I mean, you can.
I don't think you pull Keandre Coleman off. He's been playing too well.
Okay, well then B.J. then. But what I'm saying is, if you want to bring him back. Yeah. I think that you can because one, you know what you get. Now, granted, I'm not saying he comes back and start because he's gonna be just a reliever. Yeah, but I mean, again, you can put him in a rotation, and the thing is, he works best when it's playoff time. We've seen it. Yeah, and the thing is, he's helped the team get to 3 Super Bowls. I mean, you still, and to an extent, I guess the question will float around to be. Would the Chiefs be takers for McCole Hardman again? Because they didn't offer him a contract to begin with, and even though he signed a 1-year, $4 million guaranteed up to $6 million with the Jets, it's not working out up there. So they're looking to trade him as well. So if you're the Chiefs, would you have any interest in bringing him back?
I don't know, man. He posted something earlier on Twitter yesterday that said, I can't wait till I get a chance to really tell y'all what I really want to tell y'all, and this don't got anything to do with my current situation either. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with McCole, right? Like, you bring McCole back, right? Like, and normally McCole was the return guy. I mean, punt return. You're not going to put him on punt return. Are you just going to bring him in strictly to be a wide receiver? Now, granted, Is he better than Rashee Rice? Is he better than Justin Ross? Is he better than Sky Moore? That's the questions that you got to start asking. Is he better than Justin Watson? Who are you going to put in, or who you going to remove? I mean, you look at the wide receiver core. Kadarius Toney, is he better than him? Rashee Rice. Look at MVS, Justin Watson, and then Sky Moore, Justin Ross. Montreal Washington, you could possibly do it for him.
The problem
he plays punt return.
Well, see, but the problem is it's not really who's he better than. Is who is he comparable to? Because no. What I say is that McCole is, I think he's shorter than me. Versus versus MVS. So I'm saying, so those are two different type of receivers. That's why I'm saying who you replace.
You got four I can name. You got Sky Moore, no. Kadarius Toney, no. I mean, Rashee Rice, no. And then Montreal Washington, which Montreal Washington is doing their punt return. That's the only guy I could see them replacing with. And then you think about it, and it's like, all right, what has Montreal Washington done on punt return? Well, then what has McCole done on punt return and with New York?
I want to ask you this though, because you mentioned Sky Moore's name a few times. He's only caught 2 touchdowns in his career, one in the Super Bowl and I think one earlier this season. A lot of people thought that this would be his second year. We would see the Sky Moore that we thought about when they drafted him. So, but now talk about his production that we've seen this, and then we'll address the viewers' question.
You think about Sky Moore, and to me right now, he's had his ups and downs again this season. Last year it was because they put him on punt return, and then he's trying to figure it out, right? Like he played a heck of a game against Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the only game. Yeah, he played a heck of a game against Chicago. I mean, he hasn't stood out to me at all, and I thought. And a lot of people felt like this should be his year. He takes that leap. Well, Tyreek didn't take a leap until year 3.
No.
But he was a specialist, punt return.
No, his first year, but his second year, he was a receiver with Alex Smith, and he was a 1,000-yard receiver then.
Well, but the only thing about that, he really wasn't route runner. He was just a straight go. Well, I understand that, but he didn't figure out how to actually be a receiver until they pulled him off a punt return, and he actually started working, working on his routes.
Yeah, and then of course his third year, that was with Mahomes' first year, and then that's when he got a chance to do his thing. As it relates to Drew Cowan, says, saw some comments about the win out there. Y'all got the game on. Is it bad? Bucket's my kicker. Might bench him if you. First of all, you ain't benching Bucket. You can forget that. Now, look at the flags. The wind is blowing down there, but
and like it's blowing northeast.
But
depending on what side of the field you're on.
It's football. I mean, and obviously they'll. I don't think the win is going to be an issue. If anything, it should help the offense. So, maybe Patrick went on to throw a receiver.
Yeah,
I ain't throwing no shade. I'm just saying, my man been on there throwing these receivers lately. But Steve, I want to get your X factor for tonight's game offensively for the Chiefs.
Man, I've been thinking about that all week.
Well, you didn't have long to think about it because we just did this Sunday.
I know. Just first couple days. Offensively, I would say it's going to be the running backs. If I'm going to have to go with someone, I would say
I was going to kind of stood, especially with the wind blowing.
Yeah, I would have to say the running game, man. And I put the onus really on Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, if that makes sense, because sometimes and I know that's not
going to blame me. No, I talk about the running stuff.
Well, no. I mean, because you think about, we talked about them being kind of greedy, and Patrick Mahomes, he alluded to it the past couple of games. Yeah, the past couple games is like, we've got to get the running backs going, and I feel like that's how you open up everything else.
Exactly.
That's how you open. So you got to get these running backs in. But there's one caveat. When they go to you, you got to produce. You got to don't throw remove Isaiah Pacheco for a breather and hand the ball off to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and he doesn't. And then all of a sudden you got to throw the ball again. But you got to remember, last week on 3rd and 1, what they do? They gave the ball 2, Isaiah Pacheco, or 3rd and 3, they gave the ball to Isaiah Pacheco, and he was able to get the first down. Wow, it's amazing how that works when you actually trust in your running game.
Right. But you also said they had a 1st and 10. You get the ball. You think he's slick. You get the ball to Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the 2nd. You ain't slick. I caught that.
Yeah. But I mean, and again, we talked to a couple people, and of course, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a he's a volume runner. Like, he has to get in the rhythm, whereas Isaiah Pacheco, he's punch you in the mouth right away. What's your X factor? I gave you running backs. Who you got?
Oh, man, I was trying to think about that when you were talking, but you had me cracking laughs when it came to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Man, I might need you to talk for a couple of things. If I got to go with a X factor in tonight.
Yeah, we are at the game. We're broadcasting right here live from G.E.H.A Field inside the Arrowhead Stadium press box. If you look right behind us, you can see the fans out there moseying about. You can't really see the field, but I can tilt it down just a little bit for you so you can see the teams are getting ready to come back out and warm up.
Yeah, so we live in the building. We do this every game, home and away. So we'll be here next week, the following Sunday against the Chargers.
Appreciate you, Gary. Appreciate that, man.
Appreciate you. Yes, appreciate that. And then also, we'll be in Denver 2 weeks from today. And then after that, Steve and I will be across the pond working on our German accent.
Yeah.
We might actually have a beer in the stands or whatever. No, you might. Hey, what did Germany do as the Germans do, I guess.
That's right.
X factor for tonight's game, man. That's so awful.
You pity patted around long enough.
Well, boy, you
time to ante up. Let's go.
Okay, no, I got you. Wide receivers. I'm gonna go through it because look, here's we talked about this against in the Chicago game. Mm-hmm. You've got the worst defense statistically that's trending in the history of the NFL right now. They're giving up 450 yards a game. If Mahomes and these receivers can't have a big statistical game, that would be a cause, because if you can't do it against the worst defense in the league right now, that's a problem. Because everything is out here for the taking. And I don't care if the Denver media listen to it. Everything is for the taking. Again, they give up 450 yards a game. Mahomes really hasn't had that. Even the game against Chicago, they only had 2 touchdowns. I don't know so he might have 3. But in this particular game, Mahomes didn't have 3 or 4 touchdowns. Because they're going to give it to you.
Tua did. If we just comparing apples to apples or apples to oranges,
and seriously, if Miami, who's number 2 right behind you, if they put up 7, I'm not saying you got to go put up 7 because you may not want to embarrass them or whatever, but I said you may not. Well, we know Andy's not somebody who will run up and score. He just but I do think that for me, the wide receivers, because again, this is the type of game that you need to have a nice show off with MVS, Sky, Kadarius, to where you feel like stuff can be clicking that you want to be able to carry over. Because look, next week you got the Chargers coming in.
You do.
You got Khalil Mack, you got Joey Bosa. Now they got some problems with their defense as well, but
a bit better than this one.
But you need to be able to exploit this defense with the connections with your wide receivers, so you can build on that come next week. So
okay, I like
my
that.
X factor.
I like that.
Defensively though, what's your X factor?
Ooh, I would say if Nick Bolton's coming back to linebackers, I would say you've got to. Russell Wilson still can cook. We talked about that. So I feel like you've got to get them back in the groove, back playing together. So it'd be linebackers for me.
I'm gonna go with the front 4. I said it because Russell Wilson has been their leading rusher for a couple of the games as far as the season. So I want to see how much pressure not only can they get on Russ, but to keep him inside the pocket so they can kind of force either some turnovers or force him into making getting sacked or whatever, and to see what type of pressure they can do. Because if they can get the pressure on the inside, force him to make some mistakes, he'll throw the ball up, perhaps get the defense get an interception, maybe a pick 6, maybe put them in good field position where Mahomes and the wide receivers can actually do some damage. So
I like that.
I'm gonna go with the front line.
I like that.
Before we get out of here, Steve, as always, your predictions for tonight's game.
I said it earlier. I'll say it again. 31-14. I got 31-14 or 31-17. 31-17 is what I went with. Yep, 31-17 Chiefs.
14 points.
31-17. Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, it's funny. I predict that they'll cover, but I ain't betting my money on it if they cover. You know, I think the Chiefs. I think I said 35-13. So something I think on the show. No, it might have been 30. I think Bucker gets a field goal in tonight's game.
I said 41-20 or something. 41-30.
He might have,
something crazy.
But I'll go with 38-13. I think Russell gets a touchdown. I think they kick a couple of field goals. I think Mahomes will get 4 touchdowns. I think Pacheco scores one on the ground. Mm-hmm. Travis Kelce, because Taylor Swift is here somewhere in the building, he'll get a touchdown catch somehow, some way. Mm-hmm. And I think, like I said, Bucker kicks an extra point. So I think the Chiefs will win this game easily. But every time we say that, it ends up being a dogfight, a 23-20 win. So you never know. But before we get out of here, I want to thank our sponsors. Always, Steve, go ahead.
I appreciate that. Dillard, Zone, and Rosa always taking care of us, for me, of course. Remember, if you have any young adult getting ready for homecoming, we had some young kids in there while I was getting suited for today's game. Make sure you go out there and check them out. And as always, ask for Jeff or ask for Heather. They'll take care of you.
And also, this is crucial catch month in the month of October. So if you got somebody that you want to intercept cancer for or you cheer for, mine is Nicole Tidwell. She overcame cancer, so shout out to her. But I also want to thank my clothing sponsor, Todd White, and Todd's Clothing and Taylor Suits, getting me game day fit each and every week. Of course, prom season, holiday season, wedding season. Make sure you go out 2 locations, one out at World Parkway, the other down on 20th and 20th and Broadway in Kansas City, Missouri, and also G.E.H.A Barbecue. We want to thank you, as always, for taking care of us. And, make sure you follow us on social media. Steve Walls at Steve Walls KC, myself at Darren Smith WHB. We will bring you post-game coverage here with the post-game presser with Andy, Patrick, and any other standout performer in tonight's game. We'll also bring you post-game commentary from the field after the game. And then on Monday, make sure you join Steve Walls, myself, Sean Tyler, DJ Q with the Red Hour, 6:30, 7:30. We'll recap tonight's game. We'll also preview next week's game against the Los Angeles Chargers, where we'll bring you the pregame cheat sheet at 2:25 we'll do it at 2:30 on next Sunday, the 22nd. And then, of course, the following week we will be live in Denver, Colorado. So, for Steve Walls, I'm Darren Smith. Thank you so very much. We'll look forward to you post-game here at Arrowhead Stadium.
Football fans, you can't spell gate without Gates, and great tailgates start with Gates sauces and seasonings. Named synonymous with mouth-watering tailgates. When you make your list of tailgate essentials, add Gates sauces and seasonings to that list. Spice up your tailgate experience with that unmistakable great taste. Available in 4 tantalizing flavors. Classic, sweet and mild, mild and hot. Find it at your local grocer, and if you don't see it, ask for it. Visit GatesBarbecue.com to purchase any of the great sauces and seasonings. Great tailgates start with Gates.